in listen-only mode.
Well, hello, all of you out there in the internet. This is Carrie Albright, one of your PPC heroes from Hanapin Marketing, and today you're attending a webinar that we actually have two hosts from Google itself that are going to be here today to talk with me about our topic. The topic, as you can see, is Be in the Know, 3 Next Level Strategies for E-Commerce PPC. And today we're going to kind of dive into some new things, some things that are currently going, and some ideas for you on how you can really optimize what you're doing and also some of the strategies you're putting into place for the future. So like I said, I'm Carrie Albright. I'm account manager here at Hanapin Marketing. I blog for PPC Hero, and you've heard me on several webinars, and I'm sure you'll hear me on many, many more. I just love the sound of my own voice. And if you'd like to contribute any thoughts to me directly, feel free to tweet me at Albright_C and let me know what you're thinking as far as content, questions you've got, or any insights you have. And then I've got two gentlemen with me that I'm going to let them introduce themselves that are visiting with us from Google.
Thanks, Carrie. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Jesse Eisman. I'm a business development manager at Google. Basically, my role is to support our agency partners in a number of ways, including providing them with strategic insights for their advertisers, giving them exclusive access to data advertising solutions, and agency-wide training opportunities to ensure that they remain up to date on best practices. So, glad to be here. And Ryan?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Panzer. I'm an agency strategist out of Google Ann Arbor. I work on the same team as Jesse. So like Jesse, I work with our agencies to make sure they're well positioned to use Google solutions to make the most out of the internet for their clients.
Well, thanks, guys. And like I said, they're here visiting with us. So feel free to reach out to us through our Twitter handle that we use during our webinars. It is #ThinkPPC. It's your opportunity to send along questions, thoughts, suggestions, and while we were sitting around here talking about our presentation, Ryan here was coming up with a lot of, I'm going to say pretty lame PPC jokes, but we're really enjoying them. So hang on, maybe if we have some extra time at the end, we'll have him dazzle you with them. But if you've got any really terrible PPC jokes, feel free to throw those out too. We're always interested in getting new content to throw around the office. So when we first launch into this, of course, we always have a couple poll questions. So I'll let you guys go ahead and take off with those and listen up and let us know your answers.
Yeah, so I'll take this one, Carrie. So basically, this question is really so we can get a sense of who's visiting this webinar. Question is, how long have you been in PPC? A, less than 1 year. B, 1 to 3 years. C, 3 to 5 years. Or D, over 5 years. So we'll let you take some time to respond, and once we get the responses, we can have a little chat about some of the products that we'll be discussing today, and what level of granularity will make sense for the remainder of the presentation.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this content, I know we kind of talked about a little bit about who's going to be our target listener, who's really going to benefit from the things that we were going to be discussing today. So I think that my guess was probably that most people are going to be between maybe like the 2 and 4 year range. So it's always nice for us to kind of get the chance to talk to people at their level. So as far as the results go, it looks like it's actually a really even spread. That's always fun. We love having newer folks. We love having folks who are pretty experienced in PPC. And then, of course, those in the middle range, which I feel like is pretty common. So great. That's a great.
Yeah, and the content of the webinar today will kind of hit across all levels of expertise with AdWords. So we hope that everyone will find information that will benefit them regardless of what stage they're at in their learning.
For our second poll question, we'd like to hear about how you manage your accounts. Answer A, if you manage it yourself. B, if you're part of a team. C, if you outsource your account management. Or D, if you're currently rethinking how your account is managed.
So when we were putting this together, I know that we talked about how we'd approach some of the content, and I think that in the same way that we kind of are able to talk to different levels of experience, I think that the way that we've got some things laid out for everybody today, we'll be able to actually talk on a bigger level if you're actually needed to take it to your boss, to your client, to your supervisor, whoever it is that's going to sort of give you the nudge or the push to actually pursue some of these options. And also a little more specific of how to optimize. That way, if you are the one doing it yourself for yourself, you'll get some insights that you can really use.
So it looks like the majority of our audience today either manages their accounts themselves or is part of a team that manages their accounts. Only about 8% of you said that you outsource your account management or are rethinking how the account is managed.
All right.
Cool. So now that we have a sense of who's with us today, I just wanted to briefly touch on our partnership with Hanapin. It's kind of what brings Ryan and I out to Hanapin today. At Google, we partner with an exclusive group of agencies who we believe lead by example. I've been working with Hanapin Marketing for some time now, and over the course of this partnership, Hanapin has earned the distinction of the Google Partner Badge, which is shown on the screen. So only trusted agencies can earn Google's seal of approval. Hanapin has demonstrated advanced AdWords knowledge and expertise by using our recommended best practices to maximize their clients' performance. So the Google Partner Badge shows the world that Google trusts Hanapin and that potential clients can too. So that being said, Hanapin is doing some very exciting things in the e-commerce space. And today we're going to talk about best practices as it relates to e-commerce strategy. So moving on, I'd like to briefly discuss the customer journey and purchase funnel. So when forming any e-commerce PPC strategy, it's important to consider solutions across the entire purchase funnel. Now, you may have seen concepts like this before, but generally speaking, first you want to build awareness, followed by influencing consideration, driving sales, and retaining and growing loyalty across your customer base. And each of these portions of the purchase funnel essentially hit on different stages in the customer journey. And so today we're going to talk about 3 solutions that really hit across all parts of the purchase funnel. Dynamic contextual ads, Google shopping campaigns, and dynamic remarketing. For the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to provide an overview of how each solution plays a role across the purchase funnel. And then I'll hand it over to Ryan and Carrie, who will walk you through each solution in greater detail, including Hanapin's methodology for implementing strong e-commerce advertising solutions. So you want to, like I said, you want to be present across the purchase funnel. And today we're going to start with dynamic contextual ads. So online retail advertisers usually are aware of the opportunity that the Google Display Network has to offer, but they've told us that it's very difficult to manage having the right ad in front of the right context and always be relevant with the right product. And that can lead to the creation of thousands of display ads, one for each product. So this is where our dynamic contextual ads solution really comes into play. So dynamic contextual ads will automatically link the advertiser's product from the Google Merchant Center to the page context. The result is that the right product would be shown to the right user based on the context of the web page that they're browsing or have recently browsed. So there's no need to create separate ads for each product or product group. The result is relevant ads without the hassle of having to design a ton of them. So how does it work? Dynamic contextual ads are made possible by a template available in the Display Ad Builder. Utilizing this template enables the ads content to change while maintaining the look and feel of one ad. So when the keywords on the page trigger the ad, those triggers are also passed along the feed and are matched with the product title fields of the item. And when there's a match, the ads are shown. If there isn't a match, the dynamic contextual creative won't show. So moving along in the purchase funnel, we come to Google shopping campaigns. Now, shopping campaigns was made for retailers who have expressed their love of PLAs as a format, but weren't wild about how difficult it was to set up and manage their campaigns. And after many months of being out in the wild with tens and thousands of customers worldwide, shopping campaigns has proven to be a better way for advertisers to promote their products online with Google. So shopping campaigns are a better way to manage product listing ads, or PLAs. With shopping campaigns, advertisers can browse their product inventory directly in AdWords, streamlining how they organize and bid on their products, and report down to the product level with product ID level reporting in the Dimensions tab. And they can optimize their performance with new features like competitive benchmarks, impression share, and bid simulator. This will be a larger topic of discussion today throughout the webinar, so if some of the things I said are a little unclear, Ryan and Carrie will certainly bring a lot more color to it. And lastly, our final product that we'll be discussing today is dynamic remarketing. So you've built awareness and consideration for your products, you're driving sales. Now let's talk about keeping those customers and growing loyalty over time. So this is where our dynamic remarketing solution comes into play. So dynamic remarketing allows advertisers to re-engage with the users that have already shown interest in the advertiser's product or services on their site across screen. It helps increase the ROI of all campaigns that have driven traffic to an advertiser's site because, one, it drives conversions from interested site visitors who have yet to take action, and two, serves up an ad creative that is relevant to what the visitor has already viewed on that website. So the idea here is that you can drive additional conversions by improving customer retention and loyalty by showing relevant, targeted, dynamic ads through remarketing on the GDN. So I know I went through those three products relatively quickly. We're definitely going to dive deeper into the rest of them. The general format moving forward, Ryan is going to kind of bring some of these solutions to life with relevant examples that might be useful for each of these solutions. And Carrie will complement those examples with how to go about implementing each solution from a practitioner's perspective. So, Ryan?
Thanks, Jesse. So to get started, let's talk about the dynamic contextual ads beta, which is one of Google's first solutions for driving first-click visits with a scaled ad format. Really, this is an awareness and consideration-based ad format which can advertise against content on pages like review sites, instructional pages, even other online stores. What we would expect to see with an ad, like a dynamic contextual ad, is ultimately high-quality site traffic coming from the contextual match, which should produce an uplift on branded search queries after time. Not only will dynamic contextual ads work for apparel-driven advertisers, but really any product that's sold online can find a match for this. Show you a few examples here. At the top of the page, you're going to see an ad for a novel called The Crimson Rooms. Now, if I'm the company that's selling this particular book, I have a merchant feed, and I have this product in my feed. Let's say I'm a user, and I'm on a book club discussion site or a forum, or perhaps it's a book review page, and I'm reading about The Crimson Rooms, thinking about buying this particular novel. This particular company places this ad dynamically on this particular page without having to create the ad format themselves. It scalably derives from the Merchant Center. Not only does this work with traditional B2C retail, but we can also think of this as a solution for B2B and more industrial-focused advertisers as well. For example, if I'm selling expensive gas-powered generators to construction sites, and someone's looking at construction plans or templates online, and that template or plan suggests that they'll need some kind of a gas-powered generator, our contextual ads will serve up the right product to match that content.
So this is where I jump in and say, okay, that product sounds really cool. So what exactly would I need to do to make it happen for my account or for my client? So Jesse and Ryan both gave really good walkthroughs of kind of how it pertains to your PPC account and kind of the introduction of how to put it together. So what I can tell you is that the requirements for this, one, are to get whitelisted. So the thing about betas, the awesome thing about betas is that there's a little bit of a club to really know what the good new products are. And so part of the relationship we have with Google that's really, really beneficial to us is that we actually are able to get whitelisted nice and quickly. And if you don't have your own Google rep, if you just kind of reach out to whomever as your needs warrant, then I would say absolutely start reaching out and trying to connect with a team member that can get you whitelisted for some of these products. So here, that's going to be the first thing you have to do. They have to let you in the door. And then once you're in, really the other things that you need are, of course, the Merchant Center account all set up and ready to go, and then a data feed. So for anyone out there who's doing e-com, I assume that you probably have either PLAs or shopping campaigns either active or on your radar. And this is definitely another incentive to really get that going if you haven't already. And then on how to use it, what you'll do is you'll simply create a display campaign, and then once you're able to actually access this tool, you'll link it with your merchant center, and then you'll create your desired targeting. Now, there are a lot of different ways that you can segment this particular campaign, and Brian here just talked a little bit about how you can create that contextual relevance from the kind of targeting that you're building with the kind of products that you have and the kind of engagement that users may have with your different kinds of terms and content. So an example might be for a client who has an online and brick and mortar shoe company. So let's say they have over 30,000 products in their feed. Now I know that that's a lot. For some people, that's maybe a fraction of what they have, and for a lot of people, that may be much more than they've got. And really, one of the things about this product is that you don't actually have to have that many things. You can have fewer. In fact, you can only have a couple, really. But the idea is to figure out what is the customization, the targeting, the segmentation that's really going to work best for you and the structure that you have and who you want to reach out to. So let's say for this particular client, we've got high-profile brands. So we know that people are looking for the brands of shoes that this particular client sells, and they have high-return products. So they have some things that they know if they're able to sell a lot of them, that's really a strong benefit for them when it comes to their actual return on ad spend. And then one of these boxes here said limited creative capabilities. And for me, that's actually the biggest incentive to using this product, because if you can't create a beautiful display image ad for every single product that you have, you're going to be missing out. And even though you do have that constant relevance of using a shopping campaign, which is great, you still want to engage on that level of actual display network placements. So this is really your opportunity to do that and to keep it really, really relevant by using the information that's already in your feed with the information you're targeting about your potential users' search queries. So this is a way that I think it would be really helpful. I'm super excited about this product, and for anybody out there who is also selling things, they have a data feed ready, they've got their merchant center ready, I would say this is absolutely something to jump into and really see how you can use it to your benefit. So we're back to the live poll question, and we can shoot rock, paper, scissors for who's going to ask it, but since I'm already talking, I'm going to choose Jesse to ask it.
Oh, thanks, Carrie. So poll question number 3, guys. Which content are you least familiar with? Dynamic contextual ads, choose A. B for dynamic remarketing. C for shopping campaigns. D, all of them, I'm still learning. And E, none, I just love hearing Carrie's voice.
Oh, I can see the Ryan and Jesse are both hitting E on their computers.
I'm squarely in the E category.
You guys, man. Well, don't worry. I'll send you the recording of our webinar. In fact, I'll send you my entire catalog of webinars.
And I'll listen to it every night as I go to sleep.
Make a playlist.
What can I say? I practice. The soothing tones really just kind of relax you and get you going. Well, we got our results in. This is pretty interesting. I'd say, Jesse, can you read off what we got?
So it looks like about a third of you are least familiar with the dynamic contextual ads, and I suppose that's not surprising considering that it is in beta. And then about, I'd say, another third of you between dynamic remarketing and shopping campaigns. About a quarter say all, and 8% say none.
Okay, wait a second.
So wait, that adds up, right? 6, 9, 2.
Maybe we could put the thing about my voice on all of them, just so everybody could have chimed in on that.
That being said, I'm glad that we were able to bring some new context material around dynamic contextual ads, and we'll be discussing shopping campaigns and dynamic remarketing in just a few moments.
So moving down the customer purchase funnel, the next solution that we're going to touch on today is shopping campaigns. And shopping campaigns is what moves us from the consideration-based intent of a dynamic contextual ad into the realm of driving sales and generating a return. With shopping campaigns comes an increase in the controls that an online retailer has, in that they're going to get specific benchmarking capabilities and a retail-friendly user interface that will allow you to bid in an optimal way to get you the lowest possible cost per conversion. Now, as we talk about shopping campaigns, what we're really talking about here are conversions from low-volume, ultra-specific keywords that describe precisely what your product is or what your product does. So as we think about the dynamic contextual ads, generating awareness and visibility for a product, shopping campaigns is meant to harness that momentum. We're going to talk about shopping campaigns in a few different ways today. We're going to talk about the ability to utilize shopping campaigns and to optimize shopping campaigns across multiple devices. And we're also going to talk about the ability to utilize a specific beta that integrates with shopping campaigns, that being the beta offer of merchant promotions. Now, what I'd like to highlight on this slide is that these are pretty basic search queries. The term ski jacket is going to give us various ski jackets from LL Bean, Macy's, and other major retailers. Exactly what everyone wants in the month of June. But shopping campaigns are really meant to deliver conversions and deliver traffic as we get very specific with our search queries, queries that you probably don't even have keyword coverage for. Here's an example of a Sony remote-controlled tripod. It's a very specific make, model, and function of tripod. And shopping is going to give us a return for 5 different advertisers, each providing roughly the same product at roughly comparable prices. Now, you might think of PLAs and shopping campaigns as a way to get in front of the typical retail customer, someone shopping from home, someone looking to something for their house or for themselves. But that's not always the case. Even industrial, manufacturing, and construction companies can benefit from this feature, provided they have a data feed set up or the capabilities of doing so. Here's an example of something everyone needs, something that's on everyone's Christmas list come December, a skid steer backhoe attachment for a Bobcat.
I really love the one I got last year. It was pink. Beautiful.
I asked Santa for that every year growing up, by the way.
You have to be better, Jesse.
I know,
you have to be a better kid to get that backhoe skid
steer attachment. There you go. There you go. So I should point out that the actual skid steer, the actual Bobcat, is not included. This is just the attachment.
Oh, God.
So don't think of shopping campaigns as a way just to reach the typical retail consumer. If you sell something online, something can be purchased online, either in single quantities or in bulk. And you can go from the process of finding an item, adding it to your cart, and checking out all on one website. Shopping campaigns offers a scalable way to reach an audience that's going to generate a significant return.
So having seen that example, and of course talking through the different ways that you can approach what you're targeting, here we'll call back that previous example that I gave. A shoe vendor who has a lot of products in their feed, they've got high-profile brands, they have high-return products, but then what we also want to know are that we have a constantly changing inventory and that it's very seasonal. So we know that there's going to be a reason that we may want to segment things, that we may want to make sure we're really channeling the appropriate products and pushing the appropriate products throughout the year, and that we're also able to really move and shift and change as our inventory changes. So with shopping campaigns, of course, that's a huge benefit, is that it updates as often as I want it to. My data feed is constantly being fed into my merchant center, and that keeps all of those products really right at the cusp of that information on price, on availability, on all the different varieties that we've got. So whoops, sorry guys, I was still thinking about that skid steer backhoe thing. Got to update my Christmas list. So when we talk about shopping campaigns, we've been talking about them for a while now because they've been rolling out slowly but steadily, and soon enough, all of you clinging to your PLA campaigns will have to just give in and switch to the shopping campaigns, because that's something that everybody's going to be encouraged to do here in the next couple months. So as you're getting more and more used to shopping campaigns, we start talking about optimizations. So once you have your data feed up and running, you've got all your products going through, and you can see your ads are popping up in these beautiful product listing ads. What we start to do is actually look at what the real life product and performance are, and really figure out what we can do to shift those up and figure out how to improve your return and also improve your exposure. So some of the things that people do to begin this whole process are starting with some basic segmentations. Now, a lot of us, when we first started, created just an all products group. We said, I don't know, just show my product, just show whatever products I have to the people that are asking, which that is just fine. That's an okay way to start. But then once you start sifting through your data, you can actually begin to identify, okay, what's the segmentation that's really going to work for me best? Is it maybe going to be by my product brand? Because I really want to make sure that I'm funneling my traffic based on products, so that as I go through and maybe I change what are my priorities, I want to change how I'm bidding, things like that, I can adjust that. Also by product type, it may be that I have something I really want to push for a particular reason, or something that I have more of. Something may just perform better and I'm able to start seeing that in my data, and I'll start segmenting it so that I actually have the budget to spend on the appropriate product type. And then like the example I gave with seasonal inventory, if I have things like flip-flops and sandals and other kinds of sandals, there are all these crazy names for women's sandals that I don't even know, but let's say I've got all of these summery shoes, I really want to make sure that in the summertime I'm able to feature those as much as I can, put as much budget as I want into those. And so there are times when that kind of segmentation is also going to be helpful in how you manage your account. Now, when we talk about optimizations in PPC, there are a lot of best practices that we use across the boards for all sorts of different kinds of campaigns. We segment by hour of the day, by day of the week. We call that day parting. And so that's breaking it down and saying, okay, so how does performance vary hour to hour, by day to day, weekends versus weekdays, middle of the week? All these little things that allow you to slice and dice your data that help you say, okay, if I need to kind of pull back in one section, what is the best time for me to do that? If I need to push a little bit more and say, you know what, there are people there, they're wanting to buy my product, subscribe to my services, whatever it is, and you want to push for that. Mobile bid modifiers are another one that a lot of us have gotten more and more comfortable with as enhanced campaigns has fully sunken in. We now have accepted it. We now use them and appreciate them. Mobile bid modifiers are really a chance for you to really improve how you're targeting your traffic. And when we're talking about shopping specifically, because of the presence that mobile traffic has here in PPC and how it's growing exponentially, that is something that you really want to be careful when you're looking at. If you're looking for more increased awareness, then that may be a huge opportunity. If you're watching as your click-through rate is increasing, it's really strong for your mobile ads, but maybe your conversion rate isn't as strong, that's your opportunity to start saying, okay, so how should I adjust my bid modifiers and really adapt to that? And geo-targeting is another one. There's going to be ways that you break down your data that it really reveals to you what's performing well and what might not be. So as an example for this, I went ahead and pulled some stats for my shopping versus non-shopping campaigns. And by non-shopping, I just mean other kinds of general search campaigns that I have that target my products. And I broke it down hour by hour. And then once I did that, I grabbed the top handful of hours of the day based on my CPA. So I said, okay, so what is going to be the best time for me to show when I'm looking into my return and actually what I'm making off of these products so that I can keep pushing for purchases during that time. I pulled that for shopping and for non-shopping, thinking maybe they'll be the same. I mean, it's a lot of the same products. It's, you know, more or less the same account. Maybe it's going to be the same thing. But what I saw and what I really want to emphasize to you guys is that when I broke it down hour by hour, there were only 2 hours of the day that actually overlap for being the best times with the best return for my account. So 10 a.m. and 9 p.m., both non-shopping and shopping did great. But the rest of the day, it really staggered it off and on. Performance changed throughout the day for both of those kinds of campaigns. And so the idea here is that when you're setting up your shopping campaigns and you're actually starting to look into your optimization opportunities, that you actually break it down and say, okay, shopping performance and all my other kinds of campaigns are not necessarily going to perform in the same way. The way that they're laid out, the way that they really target the individual user and what they're searching for is different. So you're really going to see different numbers. And it's really important that you distinguish the fact that these are very different animals in the world of PPC. And another option that I was going to walk through, it has to do with exclusions. So you've got all sorts of stuff coming through. Like we said, a lot of us just set up all products, start just bringing in data, let me see what I have so I can figure out what to do. And exclusions are a really big part of that. So once you've got some data rolling through, you'll want to go in your dimensions tab and look at your search terms and see, okay, what is it that's driving my traffic? What is it that's bringing in a lot of my clicks, my different kinds of conversions, and what is the best area for me to focus on? So when you identify what's bringing in your clicks, which can really be inferred as saying, okay, so they're clicking on your ad when they see it, which means you must have some good competitive pricing in your listing. And also strong ranking on your part. So you must be showing up enough that it's actually resonating with people and they're seeing your ad in a position that works for them. But maybe they're failing to convert. Maybe when they get to your site, they don't see all the products that they want. They don't see the color they like. They maybe have really, really, really big feet, like some of us in this room. I know a couple of us are on the tall side, and maybe it's hard for us to buy shoes online. I don't know, but let's say you're having trouble with that conversion step in your process. That gives you the opportunity to not only identify those, but then also exclude them. And here's a really quick walkthrough of just where you would go. Within your product groups, let's say I have all my products set together. I then will actually get into that grouping and break down by brand all the different ones that I have covered. Now let's say I think that Nike's just not working for me. Maybe all the Nikes I have are baby Nikes, and I'm just saying, you know what? No one's buying baby Nikes right now. Everyone's buying baby Converse, for cool babies these days. It's true. There are a lot of cool babies out there.
Chuck Taylors.
Hip babies, folks. So let's say I want to actually exclude that. So what I'll do is I'll actually go in and I'll select it to target it. But when it's time to set my max CPC for that, instead of setting a max CPC, I'm just going to exclude it and say, no, let's pull that from the listing here. So that gives you an opportunity to really pull back on the things that aren't serving you as well. And then how to push further. Item ID segmentation is a really great opportunity. You can either exclude it in the example that I just gave, where you can say, you know what, this is not working for us. This is not converting. This isn't. We just don't have the inventory. Whatever it is that leads you to believe you shouldn't convert or you shouldn't target this one, you can exclude it, or you can actually target it and say, all right, I'm actually going to start building out a segmentation based on certain IDs or certain products that I really want to push, that I really, high success in, really great return in, anything like that would allow you to further target it and really benefit from what they've got. And then Ryan sort of alluded to a beta that is really exciting. It's called Merchant Promotions, and like he pointed out, it's going to pop up right next to your little PLA after you've submitted your search query. So here we've got a special offer. And when you click on that, it actually opens up and gives you the specific deal for that particular product. So it's a product-specific offer, which is great. And when somebody opens it up, you only pay for the one click for when they actually go to your website. So you don't have to worry about people checking out your offer and then saying, I don't know, maybe not, and then navigating away and then coming back later or something. You just have the one click. The one click is all you're going to be worried about paying for. You can do such things like expiration countdowns. Here you can see for this particular offer, it expires in 5 days, which is great for when people see that. It's really an incentive for them to follow through and to say, you know what, I'm just going to get the boombox. I want it. I've got a special offer for 5 days. I'm going to buy myself that orange boombox to go with my pink backhoe skid steered attachment thing. I'm just kidding, you guys. Please do not send me any backhoe attachments. I don't actually have a backhoe. So any of you out there who are writing down that I need a backhoe attachment, I don't. So, but what you see here, I pulled up the example of what we had previously seen with some of the promotional options for PLAs, where you can just attach it to your PLA for a larger type of promotional offer. What's specific about merchant promotions is that it actually goes in through your data feed, so that way you can have a very, very product-specific promotion. So let's say all of one brand, or even just one particular style. Maybe a particular product just got released and they have a new release promotion for it. That's your opportunity to actually get that message out there related just to that one type of product. So it's a really great opportunity if you have a lot of special offers, if you have a lot of those really detailed promotional messages to send through. And so that's something that, again, like the betas, you just opt into it. You can contact your Google rep, you can contact Google in general and start having that conversation about getting whitelisted for it. But again, it's a great opportunity to use for your shopping campaigns to make them even better.
Looks like I'm asking the fourth live poll question.
Your voice isn't so bad either.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'm getting the hang of these. So which part of the purchase funnel are you primarily focused on improving? So by now you've seen the purchase funnel a number of times, so hopefully it should be a little familiar with you. Select A for building awareness, B for influencing consideration, C for driving sales, D for retaining and growing loyalty, or E for all of them. And this is really just a time to think about where you've seen success in your business and areas that you want to kind of improve upon outside of them. So I don't know, what would I expect before the results come in?
Oh,
well, I guess yeah.
There's definitely an e-commerce audience.
The results are in, and it's definitely us. To echo Ryan's sentiment there, about 2/3 of you are focused on driving sales. which makes a lot of sense. Surprisingly, though, nobody answered retaining and growing loyalty, and we're going to talk about dynamic remarketing in just a moment, which is a very powerful solution for doing so, and I think often undervalued, particularly based on the responses we're seeing here. About 15% of you are focused more towards the top of the purchase funnel with building awareness and influencing consideration. And the remaining 17% say all of them. So yeah, the idea of the webinar that we're having today is really meant to focus across the purchase funnel. Not surprised that everyone wants to drive sales, but we're going to talk about that last portion of the purchase funnel that often I think goes unnoticed, but is extremely powerful solution for driving existing customers and maintaining that loyalty that you've spent so much time to get. So moving forward.
Thanks, Jesse. So let's talk a little bit about both remarketing in general as well as dynamic remarketing, which is to say to apply a dynamic ad format to a remarketing campaign. What we do with dynamic remarketing is pretty straightforward. We take a scalable ad format and we apply it to the entire merchant inventory. So inherently, whatever somebody views, whatever someone's interested in on your website, that's what we'll come to retarget them with. Now, that's great in some ways because it allows us to re-engage with very interested customers, but too often advertisers don't think critically about the right way to do this. That's why it's so important to align remarketing with customer purchase habits. To give an example of how I see most advertisers using remarketing, somebody goes to a website and an advertiser puts a remarketing cookie on their browser. That customer then sees their ads on every website for about the next 30-some days. The problem there is it's not aligned to customer purchase habits. What I mean by that, let's say somebody is selling, let's say you're selling a product that's a necessity buy. Someone needs that product there and they need it then, and after their first website click, they might not be in line to make another purchase. You continue to remarket them for 30 to 60 days. That's just not the right use case here. Or maybe we're looking at a product, say it's a luxury good, like a luxury watch. Maybe we have a $5,000 watch in our merchant feed, and you're setting your remarketing pixel to only be visible for 30-some days. Well, again, you've missed the value of remarketing because you haven't aligned your remarketing settings to how customers are actually buying. To give you a tangible example of this, one of my favorite use cases for the dynamic remarketing ad format is in the seasonal e-commerce space. Let's say I'm selling boat shoes or loafers, very popular in the summertime, and my customers tend to buy a new pair of shoes every year, right around April or May. What I'm going to do is set up my remarketing list in such a way that retains those customers in my remarketing list, but they won't actually see a remarketing ad until March through May of the following year. With AdWords remarketing, we're able to adjust our pixel to last up to 540 days, so we can effectively set a lag. What that means for you as a business is that we're meeting the customer exactly when they're most likely to buy this boat shoe, to buy this loafer, and not at the end of July, not as we go through August and September when they're starting to put those shoes away for the year.
So I've talked a bunch about dynamic remarketing with various people on our teams and even a couple different webinars and blog posts. And I think that it sounds like a lot of you guys are actually somewhat familiar with these. It's something that we talk a lot about when we discuss remarketing and how to best appeal to your audience in all the different ways. And it's very clear that dynamic remarketing has a lot of really strong benefits. I mean, I always say it's like combining your PLA list with your remarketing list, where it's just, it seems like two really profitable ways of approaching PPC overlapping is a really great opportunity for you to get some extremely relevant material to some really relevant parties. So the benefits are first and foremost that amazing overlap of relevance. The segmentation options, kind of like what Ryan was talking about, there's so many different ways of breaking down who you're appealing to, when you're appealing to them, with what you're appealing to them. There's so much, so many opportunities to mix and match who and what and when, that that's really a way for you to take what you can see with your data, what you know about your products, what you know about your customer base, which is really important, and be able to build it in a way that's going to work for you. So he gave some examples, and there are lots of examples out there of ways of using different points in the purchasing funnel, different levels of engagement or understanding of what they need, what they want, and then the kinds of products you show them, whether they're complementary, whether the same thing, whether they're new versions of something they've already purchased. There are a lot of really amazing ways to actually segment that data and have it perform for you at its best. And then the other one is that it's constantly updated for you. Now, that's a little funny to say, but that's one of the best parts about having a data feed that actually has your products that are current, with images that you like, that look great, that give the full experience of what you have on your site. And having these dynamic remarketing ads come through, it actually continues to keep that conversation going. So while you can say, you know, here's more or less what I want to show to my remarketing lists, the fact that it's constantly updated with the most recent product listing that you've got really keeps it as fresh and beneficial for your team as it can. Now, when we talk about difficulties, now I've got Googlers on either side of me, so I know that I want to make sure I give them the chance to talk about sort of some of the ways of fixing what for me is like the #1 difficulty, which is the technical setup required. So it's a little tricky. And usually when we've talked about dynamic remarketing, there are a couple different questions about what exactly that looks like. And I actually want to take a quick sec to let either of you guys talk about just kind of what that dynamic remarketing tag adaptation is, just so people know and kind of have a quick understanding of what it is, and then what you recommend they do to address it.
Sure. So with the dynamic remarketing tag, really what we're talking about doing is taking a remarketing tag and adjusting it for the layout of your shopping cart. Now, what most web developers are able to do is make slight modifications to the script so that the products will be populated and the page types will be populated automatically. It's a fairly technical process, and we're not going to get into the specifics of tag implementation today. What we would suggest, if you need technical setup for the remarketing tag, is to look over past webinars, blogs, and YouTube videos about the dynamic remarketing tag setup. Lastly, one very effective tool that you can use here is the Google Chrome Tag Assistant. If you haven't downloaded it yet, it's free as part of the Google Chrome store. And what it'll do is it'll scan your website and let you know if the remarketing tag has both been implemented correctly with all of the possible e-commerce parameters, such as page type, product ID, and product value that you'll need to execute a successful dynamic remarketing campaign.
Thanks, Ryan. And I think that that's really important, that people understand that it's not an impossibility. Sometimes when you hear there's a technical requirement for something, it's a little scary, and knowing that there are people on the other side that are there to support you and help you work through it, I think is a really a bit of a relief, really. The other things that are difficult for these, and they're actually pretty minor, the design aesthetic. Obviously, if you're going to be building this, you have to go through the display ad builder in the AdWords interface, and so that just means, I mean, you have a lot of things to choose from, so it's just really picking the one that works best with your own design aesthetic for your company, your brand, just making that consistency. So really, the lots of choices, it's that there is a lot to sift through. You have so many options for how you approach this, or the ways that you lay out your ads, including that design aesthetic, and also how you segment things. But there's a lot to consider. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming if you have a lot going on. But I mean, that's what we here at PPC Hero are for. That's what the Googlers are for. That's what really the entire PPC blogosphere is meant to provide, is input on how you can best approach each of your different kinds of campaigns and PPC approaches to best suit you. So at this point in our webinar journey, we've come to live poll question number 5. Now, some of you may know this as the pre-Q&A live poll question, but really it's an opportunity for you to reach out to us and let us know if you'd like some help on your PPC account or your management. So if you are interested, you can select A for a free solutions blueprint from Hanapin Marketing, where we look at your account and we provide an analysis and consultation. And this is for accounts that spend over about $20K a month in ad spend. So if you're interested, feel free to select that. And if you're not into it, if you've done it before, you're not quite ready, whatever it is, feel free to click no thanks. And there's not a C option for, you know, I'd still like to hear from Carrie, Jesse, and Ryan just on a regular basis. I'd like to hear some jokes. There's not really an option there. So feel free to use #ThinkPPC to demand that you get some really lame PPC jokes. So at this point in the conversation, we switched to our live Q&A. A lot of you guys have submitted some really great questions. We can't necessarily address all of them, but we'll try and follow up with each of you. But really what we'll do right now is just kind of go through some of them and try and answer them as quickly as possible.
Sure. So one of the questions was, what does it mean to get whitelisted for a beta, such as merchant promotions or for the dynamic contextual ads? And how do you go about it? Really, the way to do this is to get in touch with a Google account team, a Google account representative or strategist, such as the ones that Hanapin works with, being Jesse and myself. Those teams will be able to take you through the whitelisting or approval process. Now, with many other products, actually I believe merchant promotions is among these, you don't even necessarily need to talk to a live person. You just simply need to search for the name of the beta, the name of the product that you're interested in, and Google will quite often give you a form in which you can express interest in the product, and your account will subsequently be reviewed by the product team.
Great. A quick question that has a quick answer is, what was the time frame for the performance by hour of the day report? For that one, I used a 30-day window for those, and so I waited until I knew that there weren't going to be any, you know, holidays or anything like that coming in that might skew some of my data. But for that period, I looked at 30 days. I feel like that's a pretty good representation of weekends, weekdays, all those different things.
Another question with a fairly straightforward answer is, with merchant promotions, if someone clicks on more information in the search engine results page but doesn't click through the ad, how are you charged? Well, think of this as like a location extension on a search page. Anytime you click something that doesn't take you through to a client's web page, there's no charge for that action. So if I click on the promotion, there's no charge for that action. It's when I actually click on the product listing and I'm brought through to the product page that the advertiser is charged for the click.
Okay. So we got another one. I'm going to toss this one to Ryan then. That has to do with the conversations that you have with your clients when you're talking about PPC campaigns affecting your customer loyalty and kind of the interactions that you have. The question is, how can I prove to my clients that our PPC campaign is helping to retain and grow customer loyalty over time? So what's the best way to find and present this data?
Yeah, good question. So anytime we're thinking about customer loyalty and retention, we want to do a couple of things. The first thing is that we want to use a Google Analytics segment, and we want to look at the total revenue that's coming in through our website. We then want to apply a dimension to figure out what's the total revenue coming from first-time customers and versus return customers. And once we have that data and we've established a benchmark, let's take a campaign like dynamic remarketing, and let's look at how that campaign, both in terms of its cost and the revenue that it generates, impacts that bottom line of revenue coming from return customers.
I actually think that's a really good point. I mean, I think that a lot of people, whether it's just general remarketing, how do I talk to my client about what that means and what our relationship with them is time over time through their different interactions with us, I think that being able to actually turn to some data and say, okay, so here's a feature that we're pursuing, and here's what happens when we engage in remarketing, or here's how often they do come back. Here's the messaging that we deliver that actually brought them back to our site, and maybe they hadn't made a purchase before, maybe they do now. Maybe they made a purchase before, but now they're purchasing multiple products, things like that. Like figuring out how that relationship works, I think, can be really, really beneficial. Great. So we have time for just another couple of questions. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts that you definitely want to be sharing today, but I know that for me, knowing that there are additional betas out there for companies on either the bigger scale that maybe need a little boost from a Google rep, or even just the little ones that you can start using right now, like the merchant promotions, I think is really helpful and a good way to keep things moving, stay on the cutting edge of how you can talk to your customers.
I think we had a question along the lines of our, and I'm not sure which solution it's aimed at, but will these features become available for services like hotels, for example? And I think that varies across these solutions, right? So for dynamic contextual ads, if you're a hotel group, you could serve an ad of a particular hotel that may or may not be mentioned based on the location on, let's say, a highly relevant, on a page with highly relevant content. Whereas I think for Google Shopping campaigns, that would not be eligible for placement. Ryan, does that make sense?
Yeah, Jesse, it sounds like the question is, with some of these betas, these dynamic ad formats, looking at industries outside of retail. And the answer to that is possibly, but not at this time. Currently, these betas are exclusively for the retail space. And while we might see experiments into hotels, into travel, currently we're just looking at using the dynamic format for retail.
I love the questions that you guys are posing, by the way, because I feel like it really does represent sort of the span of who's involved in the webinar today, who's listening, and the questions that you've got. I mean, I know that when we talk about it, we ask some of those, detailed questions of, okay, how exactly does this work? How exactly do I set this up? Or more general things like, is that even going to affect my industry at some point? Or what exactly do you look at when you're looking at these different reports? So good on you guys for coming up with some great questions for us today. So I think that that's about all that we've got for our webinar time today. But again, if you have any questions, if you have follow-up thoughts, or if you have an awesome PPC joke, which I'm going to make Ryan tell one of them in about 30 seconds, feel free to tweet away at #ThinkPPC. We'd love to hear your input, love to hear your thoughts on things. And also, again, you can get a free solutions blueprint from Hanapin Marketing if you spend more than $20K a month. Just click on that link and it'll help you get in touch with us. Or if you've got any feedback specifically for the Hanapin Marketing team about our webinar, feel free to shoot an email at marketing@hanapinmarketing.com. And if it's because you really love the three of us and our silky vocal tones, you just let us know and we'll keep having these conversations with you. So to close it out.
So to close it out, on behalf of Hanapin and Google, we want to remind you that in the e-commerce space, there's two sides of every issue. There's a pro version and a con version. Thanks for coming, everyone.